Hello everyone and welcome. Some of you likely don't know me. Those of you who do know that I've spent the better part of the last 2 years following Dark and Darker, attempting to give direction to the Iron Mace team on technical best practices, along with improvements they should be making to the product. To many of you, this has sounded like complaining, to which you have loudly and routinely told me, let them cook. To others, I'd like to think that I've buoyed your hopes that Dark and Darker could rise to the level of its potential if they could apply more data-driven decision-making, employ better communication with their customers, and focus on the delivery of content over endless perfunctory balance changes. For as long as I can remember, patches in Dark and Darker have been bittersweet, often a combination of a good idea alongside very questionable ones. It's been a game of one step forward, two steps back, at least as long back as the playtests. In the most recent example of flailing about in search of competency, we find the starkest example of this nonsense since at least the terrible multi-classing experiment they attempted in Q2 of this year. 2 patches ago, the game was greatly improved by increases to the availability of good gear to players at all levels and in all game modes. To say that it was well received by the players is an understatement. This served to level the playing field between the haves and the have-nots, and made the act of looting bosses, looting chests, and enemy players both exciting and rewarding. This feeling is core to the Dark and Darker experience. In today's patch, early this morning Eastern Time, they have effectively made gear worthless. There is little to no reason to open a chest or loot a player when the gear that we get from the Squire already has the stat budget sufficient to compete in the game's PvP. The randomized affects or rolls on items are almost completely irrelevant to the stat pools inherent in our gear and items. Further, these changes double down on the worst aspects of the ranged meta, which is already tired and already played out. If you read through the tea leaves to better understand the why behind this series of radical changes, we'll learn this. SDF wants a fast time to kill. He wants Dark and Darker PvP to be a one-shot or a two-shot game, like his inspiration, Tarkov. All of this, despite the obvious fact that playing the game in that meta feels terrible. We only need to look back over the course of the last year. When the time to kill was lengthened, the game flourished. When it was short, it craters. Now, I could go on discussing the turbulent development history and attempting to provide more context and guidance on why these changes are bad, or how we can design ourselves out of this terrible direction that SDF seems hell-bent on following. But I'm not going to. If you are here and listening to this, you are likely already in the details about the latest patch. The fact that this is bad for the game, for its commercial success, and for long-term health is obvious to anyone, as it eschews the most basic tenets of good game design. If SDF is the guy who came up with the idea of Dark and Darker, I salute him. The potential for the game is sky high. The idea of Dark and Darker is lightning in a bottle. Everyone should know how much I love the idea behind Dark and Darker, but it's time to face the reality that no matter how good the idea of Dark and Darker is, that potential is beyond SDF's ability to deliver, and it's time for him to step aside. Terry, you need to take over again as lead designer until SDF can either be replaced or until you've built a process which can rein in his effective sabotage of your product. Now, I can feel the flinching and the angry comments getting going. How dare you say these things, Koopa, you angry troll YouTuber with your measly 2,000 subscribers? You're so cringe. I didn't start uploading videos to YouTube, guys, to start a career or to gain influencer status. I did so because I see such tremendous potential in this game and this format. I've continued to invest my time here because I still believe that something great can emerge from this mess we currently find ourselves in. But it's very clear to me that we have no hope of that with SDF in the kitchen. For every good idea the man has, he has 2 or 3 terrible ones. He's routinely proven how disconnected he is from what makes Dark and Darker a fun premise. His first design pillar has always been grind in lieu of content. He's resistant to any idea which is not his. He's opaque in his decision-making process. He's utterly failed at balancing the classes he's created inside the framework of systems he himself has implemented. Confoundingly, under his leadership, he's failed to deliver any real substantial content to the game. Ad Velocity's commiserate with current levels of investment. Most damningly, he has seemingly learned nothing from failed experiments. His behavior, at least publicly, has been inscrutable and erratic. SDF has had 2 years to communicate a clear vision for Dark and Darker's future, and to lay out a roadmap that gets us to that vision. Yet I have nothing to point to and say, this is what the team at Iron Mace is going for, this is what they're working on, and this is what we should expect next. If you can't tell already, this video is my vote of no confidence in the game's current direction and specifically SDF's product leadership. In this video's description, you will find a link to an online petition asking Terry to resume activities as lead designer moving forward. If you agree with my perspective, I ask that you click on that link and make your voice heard. If you don't agree, I look forward to hearing from you in the comments section of this video. But know this, I don't want to hear, let them cook. We've let them cook, and it should be very clear to everyone that SDF's cooking is poison.
Massive clutch heal there.
Yeah, you had no health with the curse on you.
Yep. Clutch heal won it for us for sure. I'm going. Shield up. Here we go.
Drago, I'm in general. Drago, I will kill you.
Please don't, please. Yes, we are so new.
I invited you
have
to
nothing.
Timmy.
Okay, please.
I'll move.
Everybody else has killed us. Okay, everybody else has killed us. Just instantly. No.
Better dip out of here too.
We just started out. Oh, dude, why you do that? How do you do that? Oh, thank you. Did you know about this? No. I mean, Josh, it depends. Okay, thank you.